This is Commissioner Bud Blake, and I just want to welcome you to Thurston Community Media for another episode of Getting Out in the Public. We're here at Horizon Point in Lacey, and we're doing a K-9 demonstration, and it was absolutely phenomenal to be able to experience that. The police officer, the law enforcement officer, and the dog trained very, very well, and they've practiced it many times. So to be able to be out here to participate that is just great. So I'll walk you through it. You think it's a scary item with even the clothing on, and it somewhat is when the dog starts to look at you and he says, "Oh my God, there's the person you're after." But the dog is absolutely trained to the maximum, to the commands. When the law enforcement officer gives the command to go, the dog does exactly that. It holds on at the proper moment, the tension, and does the bearing down to the ground and bring the culprit down to the ground. And of course, when the law enforcement officer gives the command to release, the dog absolutely releases and goes back a few yards to hold and wait for the next command. It just shows what kind of discipline and leadership, both as a team and as individuals, both at the dog and the law enforcement officer have, in keeping this community safe and being able to provide the services that we all expect from them. And I'm with Sheriff Snaza, and I'd first like to say to Sheriff Snaza and the crew for thanking them for letting me be a part of this K-9 demonstration. And I have a couple of questions to ask the Sheriff for the community as a whole. So, Sheriff Snaza, tell us a little bit how the K-9 program works in relationship to the community.
Well, first off, before I answer that question, I want to say it's awesome to see you in this suit.
Yeah.
And just to let the audience know that the commissioner's new nickname is Ray because he's dressed up as Ray Allen in the suit. So I just want to say how great you've done.
Sure.
The asset that the K-9 program has brought to the community is, if you're looking at, if you will, career criminals or violent offenders or serious criminals, that this K-9 program has been able to track and locate people who have offended against this community.
Right.
And the resources that it takes is obviously dedicated deputies or officers for any other K-9 program that works, that are dedicated to the community and wanting to make sure it's safe. And the part about a K-9 program is knowing that the men and women who are part of the K-9 program are as dedicated to finding the bad guys and girls as the actual K-9 itself.
The dog itself. That's
right. As far as saving the community money, looking at the resources that we have, it definitely has benefited this community by us being able to locate people who have offended against the community.
You bet.
And it's proved to be a great asset to also benefit other well, in our case, the deputies who also are working and locating evidence of crimes that have occurred with possible suspect information that we're able to locate with a K-9. So it's really benefited us all in aspects of law enforcement.
And plus that law enforcement officer and that dog have a great bond with each other.
Well, not only just a bond with the deputy and the K-9, but the family.
The family, yes.
And to become part of the K-9 family, or a deputy becoming part of the K-9 program, the family members and neighbors are also interviewed to ensure that that's going to be a good fit for not only the family members, but also for the surrounding neighborhood.
That's right.
Just to make sure.
A total integration.
Absolutely. Integration is probably a great word to use.
Well, that's a great segue. So the history of this, I know K-9 has been a part of law enforcement as a whole, but to tell us a little bit about here in Thurston County how the history of K-9s come into play for today.
Well, the history of the K-9 program is that in the early 2000s, it was unfortunate that the K-9 program went away from Thurston County Sheriff's Office.
Oh gosh.
A lot of it had to do with the finance of what it costs for a K-9 program. And Sheriff Kimball brought it back probably about 10 years ago.
Oh, good.
And since my being the sheriff in 2011, being able to actually make it larger than what it was at the time, and getting more involvement from the community.
There you go.
And what I mean by involvement is that the K-9 program does such a great job for law enforcement, but how are we saying that to the community? How are we saying that these K-9 units benefit the community. And what has happened, outpouring from the community,
Absolutely.
and with getting the donations that we've received,
The care and the love.
Oh, the care, the love. You're getting individuals donating monies for our K-9 program, for us to purchase items for the K-9, being able to get equipment, veterinary care, and also future K-9.
There you go.
And so that's what's been really awesome about the K-9 program.
So even in the turbulent times where finances has come back and made a
Absolutely.
very...
And the best part about the improvement of the K-9 program are the people who are actually involved in the K-9 program.
People make the program.
Absolutely. The deputies make the program. And it's not just the K-9 deputies who make the program.
All of them.
It's all of them who make the program.
To include our
that's what-
sheriff.
Well, I can tell you that I get to play a small part, but the deputies do a spectacular job and amazing.
I understand, but I'm going to thank you again for letting me come participate
absolutely.
today.
Hey,
in what you
it's
do.
actually been a pleasure
to see me
you get bit.
Don't run.
Okay, Ray, don't get
right.
bit, don't run.
Yeah. Thank you so
obey
much,
the
sir.
commands,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything will be fine. But I would say that I really appreciate you coming out and actually taking a peek at our K-9 program, to actually seeing how great of a job these handlers
Very
are.
professional. I
Absolutely.
appreciate it. Thank you so much,
very
Sheriff.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye. So I'm here with Deputy Bagsby, who is one of the K-9 trainers here, K-9 officers, excuse me. And we want to ask a few questions and let the public know what's going on with the K-9 program at Thurston County Sheriff's Office. So, Deputy Bagsby, tell us a little bit how you became involved as a K-9 handler.
So I started, once I got hired on with the Thurston County Sheriff's Office, I was the guy getting bit in the suit just like you are.
Okay.
So what I did is I kept volunteering my time for that, and then once a position opened up, I applied for it and was lucky enough to get selected.
Okay. And so from that, what has transpired for the K-9 handler, and what does that mean for you as a K-9 officer?
So as a canine officer, it's in my opinion the best job you could have in law enforcement.
Why is that?
Because not only do I have a partner at home that gets to come home with me every night, he's always watching my back, and we get to do a lot of fun stuff with him.
So it's a bonding that nobody else really gets to
Correct.
understand.
He's with me 24/7. He's always with me.
So for the average person trying to get into law enforcement, they don't get up out of bed thinking they're going to be a K-9 handler. What would you say as far as your career progression, how that's gotten you to a K-9 area? What kind of advice would you give?
So I would just give advice for if somebody's interested in law enforcement and K-9, first get hired with a good agency that has a good K-9 program, and then put in time, because it takes a lot of hours to go in and be able to understand what these dogs can do before you even get to handle them. So if you put on a lot of work and be able to do that, you'll be able to.
Keywords there are time and work. Training is a critical portion of this. Yeah.
Correct.
Can you tell us a little bit about how some of the training start, middle, and end? Kind of walk us through that is for you and your dog.
Yeah. So once you get selected, the first part of the process is you apply for it. So what you have to do is you apply, and there's a vigorous test that we go through, which is you do a physical test, a home visit test, and then we also do an oral board with the administration.
Yeah.
So once you get selected, which takes quite some time, you move on to actual training. So just to be certified in the state of Washington, you have to have 400 hours of training.
400 hours.
400 hours with you and your dog. And I mean, it's day by day, you're just learning the basics. So once we get the dogs, we don't have, most of the time the dogs don't even aren't potty trained. They're not.
Oh, really?
They come to us fresh.
Oh, my word.
And so we start from the groundwork up.
From the puppy, huh?
Pretty much a puppy is what you're dealing with when you get the dog, and then by the time you're end of training, you guys have a good bond because you spend a lot of hours together. And
So pick one item of the training y'all go in together. Is it from the field to the whatever? Just pick one that you can tell the public that most interests you.
So we do a lot of tracking.
Tracking. Okay,
So
good.
tracking is probably 90% of the time that we're used is for tracking. So say somebody runs, and that's when our dog comes and we find those people that run from us or run from a scene. So what we do is we every day I lay out a track for my dog, so it's a training track. That
Every
way,
day?
Every day. Even I do a training track at least once a day, including on my days off. And then on my days on, I do a training track as well as any live tracks that I have. So what we do for that is we go and we do have somebody pretend to run from us, wait half hour, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours even, and then we run it and we can find the suspect.
You bet. All in all, this doesn't come for free. So with your involvement, the dog's involvement, the training there, just give the public a little bit of estimate of what it costs, not only in time but in dollars, if you can just generally speak to that.
So just for to get a dog in the first place, I mean, you're looking at a minimum of $15,000 just for a dog.
$15,000.
So, and then once you go from beyond that, I mean, by the time the lifetime of the dog's over, you're looking well over $100,000 worth of money that have been invested in the dog.
Right.
Luckily, the Thurston County Sheriff's Office has used all of our funds are donated through the public.
Very good.
And so all the dogs, the equipment, we have a 501c3, so people can donate to us and it'd be a tax write-off. People can go through our Facebook account, which is Thurston County Sheriff's Office K-9 unit. Go on there and there's places there to donate. And that helps us out huge because, I mean, we couldn't do this without the public's help.
Right. Thurston County has a few number of dogs here. Can you tell us the number in terms of inventory, how many dogs that the Thurston County Sheriff Office has?
So currently we have 3 canine handlers. We have myself with K-9 Jax, Deputy Nault with K-9 Dexter, and Deputy Schinkel with K-9 Darrow.
Okay, so just 3?
Just 3 dogs.
Is there future plans for more or whatever?
We would love to have more. Unfortunately, it comes with budgets,
resources,
money, that kind of thing. So we ideally it would be nice to have a couple more, but we'll see.
We'll work on that, yeah. Most important question out there, selection of a dog. From a puppy you mentioned earlier to now, what does it take to get the proper dog?
So we got to have a dog with good drive.
Drive.
We got to have a dog that's willing to be able to never let it go. If you throw a ball out in the middle of the field and he thinks the ball's over there, you want that dog to be able to search for that ball for hours if he can't.
No matter how cute and cuddly, you're still looking for the drive.
We're looking for the drive.
Well, I just want to take a moment and thank you for what you do on keeping the public safe, and you and your dog, and wish you the best and stay safe out there.
Thank you.
You bet. All right. Today we were experiencing canine exercise where one of the chosen dogs was given the commands to tackle me down or attack me in the suit, as you see here. But I wanted to actually commend the dogs for their role here as far as law enforcement. They have the great passion of protecting this community and serving it just as much as the humans. And it's very good to be able to get out here and participate with them. And I wish them well as far as their endeavors and wish them safety. So I just wanted to give you an update on that as far as what we do here in law enforcement and safety. Have a good day. Thank you very much. I'm Commissioner Bub Blake.
I've had Dexter for about almost 2 years. Came from Indiana. He was born in Budapest, Hungary. And he's a deputy sheriff. Spent 400 hours initially with him, and then 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. Yeah, he's essentially another member of our family and sometimes takes more work than my kids do. I would have it no other way than to come to work with him every day as long as I'm working patrol. So, pretty cool. The K-9's probably the best job, one of the best jobs I've ever had. You know, I really do enjoy the sheriff's office. It's big enough to where you have a lot of opportunity and you have, you know, different specialty assignments, and you're not just stuck on doing routine patrol and stuff like that. I mean, there's detectives, there's boats, MSU, dive, SWAT, CNT, K-9, just tons of opportunity, but yet it's small enough to where I know everybody in our agency, and you know, I consider them all my friends, and we spend a lot of time together outside of work. We're big enough to have all those opportunities, but we're small enough to be able to know everybody and be like a close family here at the Sheriff's Office.
thank Thurston County Sheriff's Office for letting me participate in the K-9 demonstration today. It's been absolutely marvelous to see these pups grow up and protect our community. And I want to thank Thurston Community Media for their staff for filming today. I'm Commissioner Bud Blake. Thank you very much.